anything else that's going to be pinging or blinging or beeping at me. No. Okay. So it's 3 o'clock now, and some people apparently can hear us, which is nice. Can we get people to quickly indicate with a yes in chat or something if they can hear us? I know Maureen can. Call her. So I worked for a Moodle partner, and then for HIDNZ doing sort of designing courses and training and theme development. And then I worked for Unitech doing Moodle support. And now I'm working here at Waitemata District Health Board as an instructional designer creating e-learning courses.
So yes, hi, I'm Miranda. So obviously I also work with Waitemata District Health Board, and we mostly create SCORM courses in Totara. We need to ask forgiveness for any people who are against it's not Moodle but Totara that we're working in. And I also used to work at, I still work at Unitech, part-time, sorry. Also providing support for people on e-learning and Moodle. So and we're going to talk about some interesting finds we've done in Moodle.
Yeah, so we called this Game of Negatives, sort of on a play, obviously, of Game of Thrones. And fair warning, we may have stretched the fantasy metaphor a little far through our presentation. So please forgive us. So we started off searching for an integrated and fun learner experience, which led us down a path deep into Moodle psychology. And what we mean by that is some things that other people have been talking about in their sessions is making things interactive and seamless and visually pleasing and those sorts of things.
Yeah, so what we always want to achieve in our courses is that our learners who are often very, let's say, digitally adept have a bit of a seamless experience going from, let's say, one module to another, going to their certificates, and that it all goes quite smoothly with click per click, where Moodle out of the box makes people go back to a page to click on something else, and it can be quite confusing for them. So within that quest, let's keep it in the terminology, during that quest we came across some very interesting things that we're going to talk
about. So one of the things that makes this quite exciting and possible is, of course, conditional activities, which came into Moodle a little while ago. And that was going to be the key to making things a bit more interactive, a bit more fun, a bit more responsive to what the user wants. And a lot of the things that we we've totally deviated from our notes, I just looked down. One of the things that we thought about is that we knew we could, no, this is the next slide, isn't it? Oh gosh, I'm lost already in our presentation. We knew we could things, is this slide? Up here? It doesn't matter.
Oops.
I leaned on the wrong button, sorry. Doesn't seem to be okay. No. Okay, here we go. So we knew that we could make things appear on certain conditions, but what we wanted in a very specific way was for things to appear next to something else, like a button or an image, to indicate that it was completed, and something a bit more visually pleasing or a bit more, a bit nicer looking than just that tiny little tick box, which is built in.
So our problem was that obviously you can't put a label next to a label. So our first obvious thing was, so you've got a button and then underneath something appears when you've, a very nice image when you've done the activity above, but then you get a typical scroll of text. So what we wanted to do was actually images appearing next to something else once you had and so the only way we could think about that at that point still, without really getting into the conditional activities, is like, how can we make something disappear and then something else appear in its place? So swap out a label for another label.
Yeah. And just before people bring it up as a discussion point, we decided not to use the whole open badges system because they appear in a block on the side, and we really wanted the middle part of the course to be the bit that looks interactive and responds to what the user is doing. And sort of, we did look briefly at that, and as Maureen points out, some of us aren't allowed to use badges yet anyway, because I know that there are some Unitech is still humming and hawing about the policy around badges because they're an external system. They use Mozilla Open Badges and so on and so forth. And we would probably end up jumping through those same sort of hoops if we tried to implement something like that here at WDHB. There are policies for everything. So, yeah. So, we did warn you that we were pushing the metaphor quite far. So Moodle's magic spell told us that this is sort of the wording that's used. Not available unless this activity is incomplete. So we're sort of dealing with, this is not available if this is not, we're starting to go down that rabbit warren of double negatives. So we read this and went, do not show unless the learner has not done something, and now my head hurts. So
yeah, we found this little, I went delving into the Moodle forums always, right, and found after a long search one message where someone talked about that same thing. It's like, how can I make something disappear? And I tried to read what they had done, and it was very, very complicated. But the whole message that we got out of there is, okay, we got to look at double negatives. It's like, I don't want to show I want to show something that doesn't show when someone hasn't done anything. So we figured that out, and this is what it looks like.
And this is what it looks like in the old interface. There is some screenshots later where I've built the same thing in Moodle 2.9, and of course the conditional access, the restrict access section of Moodle 2.9, and I don't know at what point that came in, looks quite different. So this is what we're working with in Tortora, which we're running Tortora 2.4, which is the equivalent of Moodle 2.4. So activity completion module must not be marked complete, and therefore hide this thing entirely if this is not complete. I think so.
Yeah.
No. Oh, see, no, this is where it does my head in. And then, this is hidden entirely until it's complete. Yes.
Yes, and the top one hides something until it's not complete.
No. Yes. It's always not complete, though, until it's complete.
Yes. So what does that mean? We're going to show you some examples, because it does need some thinking. So we're going to show you some examples, and the first one we had was where we just had course badges linked to an activity completion. So as I said in the beginning, we make a lot of SCORM modules, mostly in Articulate Storyline. And I had made a course with...
Yes, they are. They're there. They're there. Trust me. I've done it in Moodle 2.9, so...
Yeah, you will see that in our example. So I had with 5 different SCORM modules, and in the SCORM modules I had used some in the SCORM badges, so there were actually 5 tasks that I wanted to link together. And what I ended up with in the beginning was having 5 buttons on a page. And so I couldn't emulate those same badges that I was using in those nice looking SCORM modules on the course page. So this is what I had. These were these, the modules that people needed to get into. Just on a side note, because we really like to have people only have like 10 minutes modules that they can get through. We have, so we work for 2 hospitals, so our nurses are very short on time, so we like to make bite-sized learning for them. And so we wanted them, when they came back, to see that they had done module 1 and 2 and now needed to get into module 3. But as I said before, it wasn't possible to put a badge next to that. We could only put a badge under it, or, yeah, it didn't look good. And nice user experience. So these were the badges I have in my SCORM module, and I wanted to emulate them in the Moodle page. So this is what I wanted to end up with. And so the thing is, so what we do is we actually have 2 buttons, 2 images. One is without the badge, one is with the badge. So if you haven't done module 1, the first image shows. Once you have done module 1, that first image doesn't show because it doesn't have the completion as its condition. But the other image with the badge will show because your module is now complete, but not incomplete. Which means that the one with the badge doesn't show when your badge is incomplete. So please give me in the chat if you follow this.
I don't know if I follow this.
That's how it works, and it's quite complicated, but it works. It's brilliant. So once you've done some more modules, the badges kind of keep on appearing, and and can actually see where they've left off last time. And so this is what that looks like in a teacher view. So just as a side note, we spent quite a lot of time today trying to get a screen share working, but we couldn't. That's why we're working with screenshots, unfortunately. Otherwise I could give you the whole scroll. But you get the idea here. So under module 1, you will see it's not available until the module 1 is incomplete. Unless the activity is incomplete. And the second one is not shown until it's actually complete. So that's what especially the first one, it's a really double negative. Like, you can't see this unless it's not done. And so you do that for each and every one of the items you want to appear in this screen. So you can imagine that when we finally got that working, we were really, really excited, and our mind began to go in every way. And because of this presentation, we said, like, oh, we need to show this at iMoot. And so we went a bit further down the line, and Miriam created something really cool, because we had all kinds of ideas now in our head of what you can actually do with this, because it becomes real magic.
So, oh, that's in the wrong place. Okay. Yeah, you moved them around. I did move them around, and I may have moved them Bear with me, don't look at the slide, don't look anyone. Okay, so I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could do this in a grid? And so that it looked like you had things stacking next to each other that would show those activities as complete. So each of these, A, B, C, D, E, F, is linked to an activity in Moodle. And this is made in Moodle 2.9. So this is on my Moodle Cloud site, which I will give you guys the link to later. And I've created 40 test accounts for you guys to go in as students and have a play with completing each of these activities and seeing what it looks like. But I've got some screenshots to show you in the meantime. So each of these is linked to an activity. Any one of them, in any order, that tile is marked in a way that shows that it's complete. So, the first tile, which is tile B, is linked to a forum activity. And once a student has posted in that forum, that tile is marked complete. Tile C is linked to a choice. Once the student has made their choice, that tile is marked complete. So you don't have to do these in any particular order. We skip straight to tile F, which is a lesson. And once you have reached the end of the lesson, that activity is marked complete. Now, this looks really great from the student's point of view. It looks like a complete nightmare from the teacher's point of view, which I am going to show you. This is 2 rows of tiles in the teacher's point of view in the course. So I had to come up with, or we had to come up with, I should say, because this is a joint effort, we had to come up with all the possible combinations of none of them on one row selected, only the left one, only the middle one, only the right one, the left 2, the left one and the right one, the right 2, all of them. All the possible combinations that people could have when they are creating this. And just so that you can see it a little bit closer, I split row 1 and row 2 into 2 screenshots. So you can see that each of them actually has 3 conditions underneath. So this one says, and activity B and activity C must be marked incomplete. No, do not delete this section. Oh my God. And so on and so forth. So what it actually looks like behind the scenes, and this is where my slides are so out of order it's not funny, here we go, is this is one of the labels. And so you can see here that I has been completely crossed out. So that's the setting that previously was hide activity entirely. And so hide activity entirely unless it's not marked complete is what this is basically saying. Hide activity entirely unless B is not marked complete, and so on. So that will show all of them as incomplete. This one here is set to show A and B as complete but C as incomplete according to these restrictions down here. I will tell you this, having tried to build this in Moodle 2.4 or the equivalent, Tortora 2.4, creating these restrictions in Moodle 2.9 so much easier because you don't have to wade through all the other restrict access settings that you don't actually need to look at, because you only add each line as you need it using the add restriction button. Whoever's bright idea that was, thank you. Just trying to see if there was anything else I needed to show you guys from my... Oh, and all the activities themselves are actually in an orphan section. So they're not visible to the students on the main course page. So where was I? No, this one. I need this one. Oh, there we go. I apparently have that slide twice in the presentation. So if you guys want to have a play with this particular one that looks like a grid to the students and looks like a nightmare to the teachers, if you go to that link there, miriam.moodlecloud.com, there are 40 test accounts. That is the format for the test accounts. Their usernames are all test and then 2 numbers, 01 to 40. And the password is the exact same thing but with a capital T. And that will let you log into miriam.moodlecloud.com and give you access to the course that is called Game of Negatives, and let you play around with completing the different activities in whichever order you like. I'll let you guys haggle over which account you guys are each using. If you log into one and you see that some activities are already completed, just try one of the other ones.
Or quick, type a number now.
Yeah, Ashley, I got 40. Sarah, Ashley. Okay, so that's in there. And we're going to move on to the next screen.
We promise this is our last kind of fantasy reference. So some of it, we still got brilliant ideas around this, but it's a lot of work to make them happen. So one of the things I thought about was kind of a treasure map, but then we ran into the problem of responsive images and also the fact that if you go for 3 rows, you've got those white spaces in between them. So you can't really build a connecting treasure map. So it's a bit of a problem. One of the other things I was thinking about, so we're just throwing out our ideas, and we would really like you to participate and get your thoughts brewing here, what you're thinking of now. One of the things I thought about is if you make those tiles clues that you actually need to use in a lesson that is visible. So you have a kind of a, let's say, adventure quest type walkthrough, but there's certain points where you need a clue or a code to go on, and in order to get that code, you need to solve some other activity where the tile will kind of, we call it flipping tiles, but we know that there's actually another image showing, where there's the actual clue you need, or to put in a code, something like a escape this room, where you find, you've got the key, and then you can find, that's something I was thinking about, of having a bit of an adventure quest, and that your grid would show clues. I tried building something like this for a gamification course that I was building before I left Unitech. Sorry, Maureen. Using puzzle pieces, so nine puzzle pieces that all fit in together, and I almost had it, except that thing that Miranda just said, where I could not get that line between two labels to just meet. Yeah, Joshua's got a good idea there about using bootstrap elements to generate a picture link that would be stackable next to each other. I'm not sure how that works, because the label itself, yeah, but I would need to do that a little bit more. I left the theme game when Bootstrap first came in, and I haven't really caught up with how it all works. I just have been busy with other things. So if somebody can work something like that out,
that would be brilliant, because that would solve having to make a million different labels for each line.
I like your idea, Vinny, because then you can make, let's say, 9 different labels with different views of a treasure map. And depending on which links have been clicked, you will have a treasure map that reveals more and more. I think that sounds really good. The idea of images is probably a question of responsive screen design now as well, that you've got to make sure that your treasure map or whatever you're creating for your students will also be visible on a tablet and on a phone. So yeah, that's why the tiles kind of work at this stack. But
have a look at the tiles. So on my website, let's go back to the address, the miriam.moodlecloud.com. If you have a look, if you manage to log in there and have a look at the tiles, you'll see that if you resize your screen, they resize, the tiles themselves resize to try and stay on one line to a certain point, and then they start stacking down, pushing down lines, especially once you get it down to something like a mobile phone view. So I haven't quite gotten around that yet. It's in the works to sort of have me think about it.
Yeah, Vinny, that sounds great. It's something we've been looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, I did originally want to build, I actually had enough images to build this demonstration with 9 tasks, but I ran out of time to create all the 9 tasks and do the conditional stuff on all those lines. And by the time I got to the end of 2 lines, I'm just like, I'm tired and I want to go lie down now. So.
Yeah, so I think the important thing here, like it is with making lessons in Moodle, it's another of those instances where you need to plan well and not delve into creating it before you actually know what you're going to do.
I should have shown a screenshot of what I did first. I went through and I wasn't thinking properly, and I saved each individual tile as an image, and then realized my error when I got into putting them into labels or something. Yeah. And no, each tile is an individual image. I had them saved as rows. Something that I did wrong, and I ended up having to basically undo it all. So it definitely required a lot more planning than I first put into it. I don't remember what I did wrong, but it was wrong.
So Vinny, can you share that course in any way, or?
Oh, that's right.
So does anyone have any cool ideas?
I remember what I did wrong. I had each row saved as a whole image, and then because I wasn't using something like an image map, I suddenly discovered that I had one image that I was trying to link to 3 separate activities, and that wasn't working very well. So I had to go back and resave each button as a separate image and then stack them next to each other in the label so that I could link each individual image to the individual activities. Is my nugget of wisdom for the day.
That'd be great. Yeah. How do we do that? Can we do that? Can you grab it?
Oh. Where is Vinny? Oh. He doesn't have a microphone.
Hi, this is Vinny. Hi, this is Vinny. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I'm going to assume people can hear me. Yes, thank you, Nick. yeah, there's loads of different ways to do this sort of thing. I've done it before. It's for another presentation that I did actually. I made a course about pirates, and I had a treasure map. So you can, if you've got all your activities set up somewhere in Moodle, obviously each of those has got a unique URL. If you use an image map, you can specify. So that's just a little bit of HTML code that you can add in the text editor. So you've got an image, you specify it as an image map, and then you can say certain parts of the map, certain coordinates are hotspots for your URLs. If anybody is interested, I'm not set up for doing screen sharing at the moment, so I can't show you. But if anybody really wants to have a look at that, send me a message and I'll get you set up on one of our training sites, and you can have a little play with it. So just send me a message or an email or something. But yeah, have a Google for image map, and then you can put your URLs at specific coordinates. You can't have parts of the image changing, but the way that I did it for my task was having so one treasure map at the top, and then I had different gold and silver doubloons, which were other labels, and they were appearing and disappearing depending on if people clicked on links or completed activities. So yeah, that's just another way to do it. But that makes it look a lot neater and avoids all of that white space issue in between images and things. I'll throw it back over to you, Miriam.
Okay. Thanks. That was good. It's always nice to hear how other people have gotten around the whole layout of their courses and trying to make it a bit more interesting. So thanks. Yeah. I don't really have anything else.
Just a little bit further, maybe on that user experience that we tried to create. So if we look at that course, we've done a few things more which don't really have to do anything with double negatives, but we have made a full user integrated experience of that whole course. So people, So once people have those 5 badges, they will be sent off straight into the certificate. So as you pointed out, Vinny, the fact that all the activities in Moodle have their own unique URL helps you to, behind the scenes, make people go somewhere where you want them to go. So in our SCORM modules, I've actually got a hidden web object that I know if anyone's working with Storyline, that automatically sends them back to the main Moodle page. And in case of the last module, it sends them straight into the course feedback. So they immediately end up with the questions, and then at the end of that, we've used Moodle's inbuilt item in feedback, where you can tell Moodle where to go after people have done the feedback, where we've put the certificate in. So they go actually straight from module to module without having to go back to things and click exit activity, then get thrown straight into the feedback. They answer all that, they click submit, and they go straight to their certificate and they're finalized, which for our audience is actually perfect because there's no possible hiccups along the way, because we are just sending them straight to where they need to be. There's no more need to click. So that's just a little side note that is just to follow up on those conditional activities, so you can make your learner follow a path without having to kind of search where they need to be. Yeah, and so this turned out a bit shorter than what we planned, but I hope you found it interesting.
Well, it looks like Vinny's sharing some code for us. attempting to. Possibly Big Blue Button is stripping out code.
Just a question, Vinny. How does an image map work when you're using responsive design? Since you've got fixed coordinates, is that going to be messed up when you watch it on a phone?
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons that we ended up not using image maps, because large images that would take up a fair amount of space, like a map on your screen, we try and make responsive so that they go to 100 or 98 or whatever percent of the width that they have available to them. And so you can't actually map coordinates on something like that, because the coordinates require pixel coordinates from the top left of the image or something. So yeah, that only works for, I think, fixed size images.
Yeah, so one of the options would obviously be to start out with an image that fits on the phone, or use Bootstrap to check what device people are on, and in the back of the code choose a certain image with all its code. So I don't know if someone's actually, someone before in the chat was talking about Bootstrap. I think that might be an option, if to use Vinny's system and then have Bootstrap in the back recognize which image with which image map to work because of the device that your user is looking at.
Yeah.
Yes, so much more to try out. So maybe next year in Moodle, in iMoot 2016, we'll show some progress on that.
I know. Oh. Nice, Maureen. So, were there any other questions that anyone had? We have a few minutes for question time, but otherwise, I'll go back to the end screen. Otherwise, our presentation is actually done. Okay, it's not letting me change the slide anymore, so that's definitely a good sign that our presentation is done.
Yeah, we will upload the presentation to our course space, so you can have a look at it, and our contact details are on there as well in case you've still got questions or great suggestions on how to use those double negatives.
Hi, this is Vinny again. I just wanted to jump in and say thank you very much again for presenting for us at the iMoot. Inspiring as always, and a great resource for the community to use. And yeah, definitely come back again next year. We'd love to see you at iMoot 16. So yeah, thank you very much, ladies, for supporting the iMoot. And for a useful presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Do stay around for a few more minutes if anybody's got any other questions. But if not, then enjoy the rest of today's mini iMoot sessions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.